15. Nothing's Too Good for My Baby. Stevie Wonder, 1966. 1966 was a turning point for Stevie Wonder. Still in his teens, still known to many as the young harmonica prodigy who stunned crowds at Motown reviews. But inside the studios of Hitsville, USA, something was shifting. Stevie wasn't just a kid with talent anymore. He was becoming an artist with a voice, a presence, and a spark that couldn't be contained. Nothing's Too Good for My Baby captures that exact moment. Recorded with the legendary Funk Brothers, the track bursts out of the speakers with bright drums, a dancing bass line, and the kind of joyful energy that defined Motown's golden years. It wasn't a chart-topping smash like his later classics, but it carries the blueprint of the Stevie Wonder the world would soon meet. Confident, expressive, and full of sunshine. What makes the song special today is hearing the early signs of the genius that was forming. 14. You Can't Hurry Love. The Supremes, 1966. Released in the summer of 1966, You Can't Hurry Love wasn't just I Want Someone. The Mad Lads, 1966. Now we drift down to Memphis, to Stax Records, where the air was thicker, the grooves were slower, and the music came straight from the heart. In 1966, the Mad Lads released I Want Someone, a song that carried a softness rarely heard from such a young group. The Mad Lads were practically school-aged when they recorded this track, yet their harmonies felt as mature as a Sunday evening choir winding down after service.
She didn't know.
Stax didn't polish their sound the way Motown did, and that's exactly what gives this song its magic. You can hear everything: the room, the breath, the closeness of the musicians playing just feet from each other. The lead vocal aches in a quiet, gentle way. Not dramatic, not showy, just honest, yearning, and full of that sweet teenage heartbreak that lingers longer than you expect.
Baby.
12. Land of 1,000 Dances. Wilson Pickett, 1966.
I looked around at him, I said, Ringo.
Now the groove jumps from Memphis soul sweetness to pure, explosive energy. In 1966, Wilson Pickett stepped into Fame Studios down in Muscle Shoals and recorded a version of Land of 1,000 Dances so powerful it practically shook the walls. Pickett was already a force, raw, fiery, unstoppable, and this record captured him at full voltage, backed by the legendary Muscle Shoals rhythm section and a horn lineup that sounded like it was bursting out of the speakers. The track didn't just play, it attacked.
Oh, yes. I heard a sister.
Here's the wild part. That iconic na 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 chant. Pickett almost wanted to cut it. He thought it was too loose, too playful. But once the horns hit and the groove locked in, that chant became the heartbeat of the song. The part everybody knew. The part everybody could join in on. This wasn't just a dance tune. It was a cultural permission slip. A soundtrack for juke joints, high school gyms, teen parties with the record player turned all the way up.
You think you got soul tonight? Let me see your hand.
11. Take Me Just As I Am. Solomon Burke, 1966.
We're gonna have a good time this morning. Let me hear you say yeah!
Now we ease into a different kind of power. The kind that doesn't shout, but settles deep in the chest. Solomon Burke, the crowned king of rock and soul, stepped into Atlantic Records in 1966 and delivered one of the most honest, vulnerable performances of his career.
World that you were good for me. Yes, and you laughed and you called me a person.
Take Me Just As I Am wasn't his biggest hit, but emotionally, it might be one of his most revealing. Burke's voice has always carried a preacher's authority, rich, commanding, full of lived experience. But here, he softens. He leans in. His delivery feels like a man sitting across from someone he loves, palms open, offering his true self without polish or disguise. The arrangement is warm and intimate, a gentle bass line walking with purpose, organ chords glowing beneath the surface.
To me, with JXL, tonight.
10. What Becomes of the Brokenhearted? Jimmy Ruffin, 1966.
As I walk this land of broken dreams.
Now we return to Detroit, where heartbreak wore a suit, strings shimmered like tears, and voices carried the weight of everything left unsaid. Jimmy Ruffin's What Becomes of the Brokenhearted wasn't just a song in 1966, it was a confession wrapped in Motown polish, a quiet storm delivered by a man who understood how pain lingers long after the dance floor clears. Jimmy, the older brother of Temptations lead singer David Ruffin, had been searching for his defining moment, and when he stepped into the Motown booth to record this track, something clicked. The song and the singer recognized each other. From the first cello note, you can feel the ache.
Girl, so bad I need you.
The production, courtesy of Motown's legendary team, is lush but restrained. Walking bass line steady as a wounded heartbeat. Strings trembling like a held-back sob. Soft tambourine echoing the fragility under the surface. But Jimmy's voice, that's where the soul lives. He doesn't break. He doesn't scream. He holds the emotion with dignity, the sound of a man who has cried before and knows he will again, but still moves forward. He sings like someone who's lived with heartbreak long enough to understand it. Not the raw wound, the long, slow bruise.
Heartache seems to grow a little stronger. I can't stand it.
9. Sweeter Than Sugar. The Four Tops, 1966.
Of a lonely one, I remember.
Now we slip right back into the golden glow of Motown. But this time, the moment is lighter, warmer, almost flirtatious. Sweeter Than Sugar may not be the Four Tops' biggest hit, but it carries a sweetness that deserves its own spotlight.
'Cause I really love you.
1966 was a dream year for the Tops. Levi Stubb, with that thunderous, emotional baritone, could turn even the simplest lyric into a promise. But on this track, he doesn't roar. He glides. He smiles through the melody, letting the joy speak softly, but clearly. The groove is classic Motown. Crisp drums, rolling bass line, subtle brass sparkle, and harmonies so tight, they feel effortless.
How I try to reassure you and satisfy, 'cause I need.
8. I'll Always Love You. The Spinners, 1966. Before the Spinners became legends of 1970s Philly soul, they were 5 young men at Motown, searching for their breakthrough moment. And in 1966, they delivered one of their most overlooked early gems, I'll Always Love You. This isn't the lush orchestral Spinners sound we'd hear later. This is the blueprint, raw, tender, and beautifully human.
Whenever you want me, I'll be there. Even
The song opens like a quiet confession, soft percussion, a gentle bass line, and harmonies woven so delicately you can almost feel the breath between each phrase. There's a simplicity here that feels intentional. No dramatic crescendos, no busy instrumentation, just voices, steady, sincere, unmistakably rooted in the church. You can hear the gospel training in every layered line, the rising warmth of the harmonies, the honesty in the lead vocal, the sense that these men weren't just singing a song, they were offering a promise. 7. When a Man Loves a Woman. Percy Sledge, 1966. Here we arrive at one of the most powerful soul ballads ever pressed onto tape. A song that didn't just chart in 1966, but washed over the year like a tide you couldn't resist. Percy Sledge wasn't a star yet. He wasn't a touring legend. He was a hospital orderly from Alabama, a man who knew long nights, quiet heartbreaks, and the kind of real-life tenderness you can't fake. And when he stepped into the studio to record When a Man Loves a Woman, you could hear every bit of that experience in his voice. There's a story behind this moment. Percy believed so deeply in the song that he offered the writing credits to his bandmates in exchange for their support. No ego, no demands. Just a man who knew he was holding something true, and that truth pours out from the very first note. The arrangement is slow, steady, almost church-like. A heartbeat learning how to speak. The organ is warm, the horns glow softly around him, and Percy's voice, trembling, raw, unfiltered, carries every ounce of devotion a man can give. 6. Cool Jerk. The Capitals, 1966. Now we shift from slow-burning passion back to the Detroit dance floor, because Cool Jerk wasn't just a song. It was a movement. Released in 1966, this record hits with pure swagger. A groove made for sidewalks, block parties, and basement gatherings where the speakers were too small, but nobody cared. The Capitals were a local Detroit group searching for their breakout moment. What they found was lightning, thanks to a twist most people don't know.
Those 88s.
Motown's legendary Funk Brothers played on this track. Yes, the same musicians behind Marvin Gaye, the Supremes, the Temptations, the architects of the Motown sound. But this wasn't a Motown release at all. The Funk Brothers just walked into the studio and set the track on fire. You can hear it instantly. The drums, sharp, clean. Impossible not to move to the bass line, strutting more than it walks. The horn hits, punching like they're daring you to stay still. 5. I'm Your Puppet. James and Bobby Purify, 1966.
I'll do funny things if you.
Now we glide into one of the warmest smiles in all of 1960s soul. A song that feels like sunlight drifting through the curtains on a slow Sunday morning. Released in 1966 on Bell Records, I'm Your Puppet isn't loud, flashy, or dramatic. It's gentle, comfortable, intimate. A love song that feels lived in, like two hands naturally finding each other. James and Bobby Purify were cousins, and you can hear that closeness. Their voices blend like they grew up finishing each other's sentences. Because they did. And behind them is the unmistakable warmth of Muscle Shoals. Soft guitars, easy horns, a rhythm section that doesn't rush a single beat. Nothing here is forced. Nothing tries too hard. It just floats. For Try a Little Tenderness, Otis Redding, 1966. Now we step into a moment that feels almost sacred, a performance so emotional, so transforming, that it reshaped what soul music could be. Otis Redding recorded Try a Little Tenderness in late 1966, but the song itself had been around since the 1930s. And yet no one ever breathed life into it the way Otis did. This wasn't just a cover, it was a revelation. At Stax Studios in Memphis, surrounded by Booker T and the MGs and the Memphis Horns, Otis shaped the arrangement like a slow sunrise. Soft, steady, patient.
But she has her grease and
He understood something the earlier versions never dared to touch. That tenderness isn't weakness. It's strength, held gently. The song begins almost fragile. A warm organ hums beneath him. The horns rest quietly. The rhythm moves like a slow heartbeat. And Otis, he doesn't rush. He eases into the words, as if encouraging himself to speak them out loud. But then, as only Otis could, the entire performance rises. He pleads, he pushes, he bursts open with emotion so raw, it feels like the walls of the studio must have trembled around him.
oh, she may be weary.
3. Let's Go Get Stoned. Ray Charles, 1966.
Let me tell you about a girl I know. She's my
This one walks into the room with a wink, a grin, and a whole lot of soul. Released in 1966 on ABC Paramount, Let's Go Get Stoned wasn't just a hit. It was a homecoming for Ray Charles. By this point, Ray had explored nearly every corner of music: jazz big bands, country standards, lush orchestral arrangements. But this track pulled him back to where his spirit always lived, that church-rooted, barrel-house, down-home soul that made the world fall in love with him. The song itself came from powerhouse writers Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson, long before they became Motown royalty. It was first recorded by the Coasters, but Ray brought something different, something deeper. He didn't treat it like a novelty tune. He didn't sing it like a joke. He sang it like release. Like that moment at the end of a long week when the weight finally lifts from your shoulders. Like laughter breaking open a hard day. 2. Just One Look. Doris Troy, 1966 Rishu Revival. Sometimes a song doesn't just return. It reappears like a memory you didn't know you were still carrying. Originally released in 1963, Doris Troy's Just One Look made a quiet but powerful comeback in 1966, thanks to renewed radio play, dance halls, overseas military bases, and college record swaps that kept the record spinning long after its first life. And when it came back, it didn't creep into the moment. It landed like a lightning strike. This was a song written straight from Doris Troy's own heart. No committee, no overproduction, just pure emotion. She had worked as a receptionist at Atlantic Records, and when she stepped into the booth, she brought all the soul of someone who'd been waiting her whole life for that one chance. Her voice on this record is smoky, confident, and vulnerable all at once. It doesn't beg for love, it declares it. Just one look, and I fell so hard. 1. Reach Out, I'll Be There. The Four Tops, 1966. Here We Stand at the Mountaintop. Released in 1966 on Motown's Gordy label, Reach Out, I'll Be There isn't just a great soul record. It's one of the most dramatic, emotionally electrifying performances of the entire decade. From the very first beat, the song doesn't walk in. It storms in. Holland Dozier Holland designed the production to feel cinematic. Pounding, galloping drums, a haunting flute line that cuts through the mix, and a rhythm section that feels like it's running toward you at full speed. But the force at the center is Levi Stubbs. He doesn't sing this song. He pleads it. He throws himself into every line like a man reaching into someone's heartbreak and refusing to let them fall. Where other Motown leads floated like silk, Levi hit like thunder. There's a truth behind this. Holland Dozier Holland intentionally wrote melodies slightly out of Levi's vocal comfort zone because they wanted his voice